Our scripture this morning is a familiar one, but I hope you can hear it new and fresh today. So I invite you to find a word in this scripture from 1 Corinthians 13 that jumps out to you, and hold on to that word and carry that word. If I speak in the tongues of humans and of angels but do not have love, I am a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. And if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give away all my possessions, and if I hand over my body so that I may boast, but I gain nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is not envious or boastful or arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable. It keeps no record of wrongs. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. But as for prophecies, they will come to an end. As for tongues, they will cease. As for knowledge, it will come to an end. For we know only in part, and we prophesy only in part. But when the complete comes, the partial will come to an end. When I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became an adult, I put an end to childish ways. For now we see only a reflection as in a mirror, but then we will see face to face. Now I know only in part, then I will know fully, even as I have been fully known. And now faith, hope, and love remain. These three, and the greatest of these is love. A big breath and some silence sounds pretty good. So I have a clergy friend who asked me a couple weeks ago, how do you decide what to preach on? Since our church doesn't follow the lectionary, and your senior pastor usually does a series. And I told them that I spend time, obviously, praying and listening to God, seeking God's direction for where to go with the service, because you got these 66 books and you can pretty much choose from anything. And that could be dangerous or it can be helpful. So I listen to the congregation. I hear what's going on in our congregation and some of our struggles, some of our joys, our concerns. But this week's sermon was inspired by all that, and also a trip that I had to take down to Long Beach Island when someone had a little slip and fall, and I needed to get down there a little more quickly than usual and see what was going on and do whatever it was that I could do. So on that 50-minute trip, I listened to Krista Tippett's On Being podcast, and I was listening to her series, The Hope Portal. And I can see that some folks have listened to that and enjoyed it too by the smiles on your faces. So this was a trip that I was taking, and I needed a little hope. I'm driving down Route 70 and then 72 thinking, okay, I hope everything's good. Okay, come on, let's get there. Let's get the traffic moving. I would like to get there a little more quickly. But I think Krista Tippett's Hope Portal sort of kept me within a legal speed limit. So for that, I am very thankful. And in this series that she is doing on hope, she interviews other different folks and has them talk about what's bringing hope in their life. What are some signs of hope? And it's a variety of folks that she speaks with. If you have not listened to this, I highly recommend checking out Krista Tippett's On Being. So I mentioned to someone this past week or so, I'm thinking of preaching on hope. And it's coming from that Krista Tippett On Being Hope Portal series. I said, but I feel like I just spoke about hope somewhat recently in church. And she said, she started to say something. I go, I know exactly what you're going to say. No one's going to remember that you just preached on hope. I didn't know if that was a compliment or not. But and she said, no, that's not what I was going to say. What I was going to say is, in these times that we are living, and as progressive-minded people living in this world with everything that is going on, we can always use some more hope. I told her she was absolutely right, and that dose of hope will get a little pump up with faith and love. So this morning, I'd like to take a moment for each of us to look at our lives. What is giving you hope in the midst of life's upheavals, uncertainties, and curveballs that you find thrown at you? How do you make room for hope in your life, in your community, in your little corner of this world? The Vietnamese American writer, poet, professor Ocean Young, in speaking about hope, says, we have to articulate the world we want to live in. We need to speak hope into being. We know that words are powerful. And right now, in our world, there are a lot of words being thrown around. And these words are thrown around by powerful people. And if we are honest, these words are often not very hopeful, faithful, or loving. And these words often don't hold much hope or courage or support for a life that seeks to do justice, love mercy, or move in the world with humility. These words do not clothe the naked, feed the hungry, or welcome the stranger. But as Margaret Mead said, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. So I have hope for today and for tomorrow. One reason is because I know of a small group of faithful citizens. You're all right here. And I have witnessed you all speak to and live out hope for others as you have provided food, clothing, and shelter for those in need, and as you have listened to, cared for, encouraged, and supported others when needed. The Hope Portal. A portal is a doorway, gate, or other entrance. So in our community here and beyond, I believe there is, as Krista Tippett calls it, a hope portal. In our scripture, Paul talks about hope, faith, and love. So I'm going to keep with Krista Tippett's portal imagery and say that there is a hope portal and there is a faith portal here at FBC. Many of us came here to First Baptist because we were looking for a community of faith where we could connect with God and others in an open and honest way, where we were more concerned about the theology that was presented than the social status that can be acquired by attending a faith community in a certain town with certain beliefs. Some folks were not looking for a particular denomination, and some were specifically looking for an American Baptist denomination. But many of us, after learning about the structure, tenets, and belief of American Baptists, chose to be part of an American Baptist church. At the core of it, we sought a place where all of us can be who God has called and created us to be. And I'm not just saying this for myself and those of us in the LGBTQ community. This is for everyone. Every person who wants to be a part of a community of faith should be able to connect with God in community as they are, not needing to change or fit into a hopeless and ill-fitting box. So as people of faith, living out of faith in a God whom we cannot see, but who we know is moving and working in our world, a faith portal is just as important and needed as the hope portal. We have a faith in a God who is moving and working in our world. We have a faith in a God who is within all and around all. We have a faith in a God who is not limited by human constructs, biases, or expectations. We have a faith because we choose to have faith. We have faith because we have encountered the amazing love of God. Some of us may even say we have faith because of reason, tradition, experience, and Scripture. Thank you, United Methodist Church. The definition of faith from Hebrews 11, verse 1. Now, faith is the confidence in what we hope for, and assurance about what we do not see. Our hope portal is connected to our faith portal. Paul's words to the church at the end of chapter 13 are as needed, meaningful, and life-giving for communities of faith today as they were for their original community in Corinth. At the end of 1 Corinthians 13, Paul addresses a situation that is going on in the church in Corinth, a community of faith, like many other communities at any other time or place or any other space. They had their ups and downs. There were times when everyone got along and times when, well, folks were mildly annoying or dancing on someone's last nerve. But I'm sure none of us here can understand that. In our homes, our places of work, with family, and sometimes even here at FBCM. But they and we have faith, and they were living it out. And they had hope as they sought a better and fuller world with knowledge of life, the life and teachings of Jesus. But Paul points out to them that they are missing what is at the core of it all: love, an entryway, opening, a love portal, living out love for all, a life of love that does not seek to up one another, a life of love that seeks to support and not demean another, a life that moves down the path of love to support and encourage and to care for one another. Then and now, there are groups of folks dealing with interpersonal conflicts, disagreeing over who is in charge, thinking that they are so much more gifted than another, and that their gifts and talents are so much more important, and that they should be holding a higher place in the pecking order. Well, when that is happening, someone, somewhere, with some authority, respect, and love for that community needs to step in. Enter Paul. Paul and his prose, his letter to the church in Corinth in the love chapter, where his experience with and love for the community in Corinth is evident in 1 Corinthians 13. Paul addresses the community in Corinth and pretty much calls people to the carpet. This was the community disagreeing over power, importance, and giftedness. Ego-driven tendencies that impeded the way of love that they were taught, shown, and instructed to live out. Yes, you are gifted, and Yes, you are gifted and are using your gifts to welcome the stranger. But you seek for all to know about your actions. You feed the hungry, but you do so and tell all, looking for praise. You shout from the mountaintop about your faith, so all will see you as a righteous person. But how do you act when no one is around to see? You can be the most gifted, active, self-sacrificing person, but why do you do what you do, says Paul to the community in Corinth. You can have faith that runs deep and hope for the most dire times. You can go through your days being a beacon of hope and faith, but if you do not live in the way of hope and faith and live on that path to move toward the portal of love, it is nothing. For the greatest of these is love. Krista Tippett has invited folks to be a part of the Hope Portal. I challenge each of us, followers of Jesus, to not stop with the Hope Portal, but to take the next steps and create with your own words, actions, and presence the portals of faith, hope, and love right here and in our world.